she was embarrassed to tell me that it was possible that someone else was my father because, and I quote, "I drank a lot, I did a lot of drugs, and I tried to kill it."
Hello, you are listening to NPE Stories. This is a podcast where NPEs can share their story. I am your host, Lily, and I found out I was an NPE through an ancestry DNA test that changed my life forever. NPE is a term that stands for Not Parent Expected or Non-Paternal Event. This means that one or more of our parents are not who we believe them to be. NPE Stories is a podcast where NPEs can share their story of what their original family was like, how they found out they were an NPE, and what their journey has been like since the day they found out. Welcome to episode 70. Did you know there have been over 30 million DNA test kits taken in the U.S.? I learned that yesterday. Yesterday, I went to a Right to Know webinar. These are monthly webinars put on by the advocacy group Right to Know. You can find more information about them at righttoknow.us. And their monthly webinars center around DNA and around race and ancestry and genetic identity. I went to one yesterday. It was fascinating. Did you know that blue eyes have only been around for about 6,000 to 10,000 years? I didn't know that. They thought that this was introduced by Anita Foman yesterday, one of the two speakers on the webinar. And she said blue eyes were a genetic mutation. They most likely came around for humans living in cooler climates, that they got this genetic mutation of blue eyes, and that people must have mated with people with blue eyes. Maybe they thought it looked cool, but either way, we now have blue eyes as part of our gene pool. So it's a kind of a more recent trait. But if you are interested in attending one of these webinars, go ahead and check out righttoknow.us. And they do talk about genetic identity as well, which is important for people listening to this podcast. This podcast is where we collect stories about NPEs, people that had a non-paternal event. I had a non-paternal event after I took an ancestry DNA test kit a couple of years ago. And we have an NPE on today who's going to share her story. And I believe she's on right now. Hi, Shae.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for sharing your story today. I know you've listened to the podcast. We were just talking about that, but the format is we find out a little bit about your family of origin and then how you found out you were an NPE and what life's been like for you since. So
Okay.
I don't know your background, so go ahead, Shae, and tell me about your family of origin.
My original family, I guess. See, it's so funny because I feel like I have multiple original families, but my original family consisted of me and my mom living with my grandmother, two of my uncles, and one of my aunts. And I was led to believe at a very young age that my biological father had passed away. And couple years, I was probably like 4 years old, where my mom ended up meeting my birth certificate father, who would come to adopt me eventually. And I was very fortunate for that. He was incredible. So I ended up having my first brother was born when I was 6, and at about 8 years old, my mom and my birth certificate father would end up getting divorced. And my mom, in her typical fashion, let me know about the divorce, my dad moving out, Santa and the fact that my biological father was not dead in one foul swoop. So,
Oh,
yeah,
oh my
yeah,
gosh.
she was good. um, well, with that being said, I ended up getting a name some years later, just a first name and then a rough last name. I didn't really have a lot to go on. Um, but I would end up finding who my birth certificate father was when I was 20. And I met him, and he was great. And we maintained a relationship for about 15 years. And when I, so in Christmas of 2017, I got my boyfriend a ancestry DNA test because his family does all the DNA stuff and they love it and it's so much fun. So I got one for him so he could kind of join in. And then I started thinking, me and my son don't really know anything about my biological father's side or my mother's biological father's side. So we both took a DNA test and got the results, a couple weeks later. And I scroll down and I'm looking, I'm like, I don't recognize any of these people. And I see at the top, I'm like, huh, that is not my biological father's initials. Who is this? So I like to say I'm a double NPE because obviously I was lied to very young. And then I was told my father was alive and someone else. Um, and then he was someone else again. So
Oh, that
yeah.
that almost might be like a triple
Yeah, it feels a little
NPE.
bit like it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough. It's been I struggled with wanting to do this podcast. Went back and forth, and honestly, even up until today, I was kind of, I don't know if I'm going to do it because there is no talking about it with my mom. I have the person who I thought was my biological father has actually since stopped talking to me because he's not my biological father. I haven't talked to my birth certificate father in 8 years now, and so it was I kind of felt like this news really changed a lot of things for the bad, but it really gave me a lot of good too because I got siblings out of the deal, and I got great aunts and awesome cousins, and yeah, I think that's really the basis of like how I found out.
So your NPE, the final one we'll call it, was when you took this DNA test and you saw your birth father's sibling, or you saw your birth father's initials, which were different than what you'd believed, show up. How did
Yeah.
you how, what happened after you saw these initials?
So I honestly I shut my phone down and I ignored it. I'm like, okay, I'm just seeing it wrong, or I gotta kind of sit and think about this. So I actually didn't look at it again for a couple days because I couldn't wrap my head around being lied to again. Um, Eventually, I would open it back up, and I would I scrolled down, and I didn't want to contact him. I don't know why, but I just gut feeling, don't contact him yet, and I didn't. And I ended up reaching out to an aunt and I believe a second cousin who would eventually put me in touch with him. Um, I finally got to talk to him, and we talked on the phone, and he let me know that I am the oldest of 9 kids that he knows of. No, sorry, 10 kids that he knows of.
Oh,
He
wow.
knew I would find him someday because all of his kids have found him except for me that he knows of. um, so
Oh,
the
he knew
yeah.
of your existence.
Yeah, he did, because he and who I thought my biological father was got a picture of me when I was a couple months old with my first and my last name on it. And they got the same picture. So
Oh, so your mom sent both your birth father and the other man she said was your birth father a picture of you as a baby.
So I actually don't know if it was my mom. She pretty much denies sending it. And when I confronted her about it, she denied knowing who he was until I showed her a picture and said his name. And then she broke down and cried, and she told me the story. And you want me to tell you what she said, or is that
Sure. I mean,
okay?
it could be, of course, it's hearsay, but let's hear what your mom told you.
Yeah. So what? And it is absolutely hearsay because I don't. They both have very different sides of the story, and
Hmm.
but what my mom told me personally was that she ended up going down to Florida to meet her biological father, who she knew about. He just wasn't in the picture. It wasn't like a big mystery who he was. He just wasn't in the picture. And my um, first biological father, the one who I thought was my biological father, took her down there, and they ended up breaking up down there, and that's where she would meet my father, my actual biological father. It seems as though they had a relationship for a couple months, and she lived down there, and she got pregnant, and she was embarrassed to tell me that it was possible that someone else was my father because, and I quote, I drank a lot, I did a lot of drugs, and I tried to kill it. And she didn't want to tell me.
Oh.
It took me a minute to grasp that I was it. So, yeah.
So she was trying to get rid of you in her own way by drinking and doing drugs.
Yes. Yep.
So your birth father, she had said had passed away.
Yeah.
That was just a story she chose to tell you?
So to be honest with you, I'm not sure of that either because I don't know if there was another guy in the mix that maybe got a picture. Unfortunately, she's not. She doesn't want to talk about it. It's not. She doesn't think I should talk about it. She thinks I should just forget about it, and so I don't get a lot of answers from her. And anybody still living that could answer the questions won't answer the questions. So
Yeah. Yeah, so many lies. It's you don't even know what to believe anymore when you just keep hearing them your whole life.
no, it's so bad. But there is a lot of silver lining, though. I ended up with I have an incredible aunt, and the first time I talked to her, it was mind blowing. I picked up the phone and she goes, "Is that my baby girl?" And I I lost it. I couldn't even talk for a couple minutes because um, I was so emotional. You know, uh, I've never been received by like that by anybody in my family, let alone someone I just met. And it was pretty great because what I also found out. So growing up, I was always different. I have the really really dark hair, really really dark eyes. I'm very artistic. I have a children's book published. I draw, I paint, I write, I do all that stuff, and I never got that from anybody. It never came from anyone, and it wasn't something my mom really nourished in me. She just knew that I could do it, and kind of ignored it. But my biological father's family is a family of artists and musicians, and it's crazy, and it's so cool to see because my son plays instruments naturally and I can't do that. So I didn't know where he got that from, and now I know.
You have this artistic side and that has even been passed down to your son that's now making a lot of sense.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's amazing. You have a children's book published. Can I ask what it's called? I'll put it in the show notes.
Oh yeah. It's actually called Welcome to Creeptown, and the 400th Ween, and it's a very young kids book. It's like a bedtime story.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll put that in. I can't wait to look that up.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
talk to me about. Well, first, let me just summarize what you said about your incredible aunt, and then I want to ask about her. Because I know when I get love from an older woman who is matronly and warm and loving and accepting, I just eat it up. It's what I've
Yeah.
wanted ever since I was a little girl. And I think that's what I kind of heard come from you when you were talking about
Mhm.
when your incredible aunt said, "Is this my baby girl?" Is is this now a newfound biological aunt?
Yeah. Yep. It's my dad's sister. It's my biological father's sister. Um, yeah, she's incredible. I never got that love from my mom. I was, kicked out very young and brought back to pay rent, and then kicked out again, and then brought back to pay rent. And it was, I actually, there was one point I was actually homeless in Florida, and I never knew my aunt lived like an hour away from where I was homeless in Florida. And she cried and I cried, and she just said, I would have taken you in. You would have been mine. That would have been it. And
Oh,
it was just, yeah, sorry.
that's sweet.
No, it was, yeah, sorry about that. Give me a second. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. No, she's amazing. She is everything you'd want in an aunt and a mom. And she has two daughters who, the they flat out joke around all the time and say, our mom's just going to adopt you, and so on. And I love it. I'm so lucky to have met them.
I'm so glad you have that now. Better now than never.
Yeah.
How did you make contact with her?
So it's I actually messaged her on Ancestry, and she emailed or messaged me back and said, I think you're my sister, because she asked who my father's name was, and I told her, or who I thought it was. And that is also her father's name. So she actually thought I was her sister, because her dad was a little bit on the promiscuous side, like father, like son, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so she messaged me, and I told her, and then she's like, "Well, what's your name?" Like, because my full name isn't on Ancestry. And I told her, and she said, "Wait a minute, you're my," and then my real name. She goes, "I've seen a picture of you. I've been waiting for you." She goes, "You are my brother's baby," and so on. And yeah, from there, it was within a couple hours, I was on the phone with her, and we were having, a couple hours long conversation, and it was amazing.
Mm. Mm. All through an ancestry message, sometimes people do get back to you. I did she reach out to you at first or did you reach out to her?
I I actually reached out to her because I saw her. I didn't fully understand the centimorgans and stuff like that. I obviously saw my sons and my father pop up as, paternal, yeah, parental matches. And then she was actually in close family, so I didn't know what that meant because it didn't say sister or aunt or anything. It just said close family. And then as I scrolled further down, I recognized a couple cousins from my mom's side, so I had no idea if it was going to be, a sister, or whatnot. So I messaged her and I said, "Hey, we're related from, I think, my biological father's side. I'd love to find out more about, that side, seeing as how I don't know anything." And she messaged back pretty quickly, actually.
Oh, good. Yeah, the close family when I remember that about ancestry, how they just lump people into close family and they could be, I guess, yeah, aunts, uncles, half siblings, maybe first cousins, niece, nephews. Yeah, it can be a variety of things. That does get confusing if you don't know how the centimorgans work,
Yeah.
which nobody does right away. We all become experts in it
No.
as we read up on it, but none of us understand it in the beginning. Are you still in contact with your mom right now?
I actually, yes. So, uh, very uncomfortably, she rents the apartment upstairs for me for now. So I see her more than I kind of want to, but I also don't want to inhibit a relationship between her and my son. She's not around much. She doesn't want to be around much, but I don't want to take her away from my son. So I do have contact with her. We don't have the relationship that she wants everyone to think we have. So when you talk to her, we're best friends and we hang out all the time. And then if you see the reality of it, she lives upstairs, and I might talk to her once a month.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
And I know we're in COVID right now. We're recording this in February of 2021, but it sounds like you have this blooming relationship with your half sister and your aunt and your cousins. What's in the future for you with your family?
So we were just talking today with my cousins about the possibility of doing sort of like a family reunion at the halfway point between us, and that would be somewhere in North Carolina. I don't know if you'd still call it a family reunion if you've never actually met them, but
That's true.
for lack of a better term, that's what we're calling it. So, yeah, hopefully sometime this year I'll get to meet not only them but my sister, and yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be more hugging than
Oh.
I ever thought possible. I'm sure, but I'm not a big hugger, but I'm totally gearing up for it, and I'm getting my hugging arms on. I think so. It's going to be good.
Oh, you're so funny. You're just like me. You're like, yeah, I'm not a hugger. I'm a little mean. That's
Just a little bit. Yep.
no, I get it. I identify with that as well. um, so I know you listen to this podcast, and we're also talking about before you listen to Everything's Relative with Eve Sturgis. What other things, or do you have anything helpful that has helped you with your kind of your shocking NPE news? Anything that's been helpful for you with your healing?
So I tried I'm on some of the Facebook groups. The Facebook groups are a little hard because it seems on my biological father's side there's quite a few NPEs, and I'm just not um super open to all the connections they want me to make with him. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of veer away from that, but honestly it's kind of the podcast and art and it's all relative that I really kind of gear to, and my boyfriend, I love him so much. I talk his ear off sometimes, and he's been immensely helpful, and he actually just started listening to your podcast too because I thought it would give him some perspective as to why, like, I don't know, I guess I'm crazy now, maybe,
Yeah.
um, but and it seems to be helping. But I don't have a ton of resources, but it's the ones I have are great. So
Yeah, and what you were just saying about your boyfriend, and props to him for being such a source of support to you, but having our close friends and family members really understand why we're obsessed over this, why this has consumed our lives. And maybe I'm using too strong of terms there, depending on the person, but that if they can listen to a couple podcast episodes, if they, because the Facebook groups are secret and we can't always share that stuff, but if they can listen to a couple podcast episodes, sometimes they start to maybe get some understanding. And honestly, it sounds like your boyfriend's already really understanding of your situation, but that's a good point to
no,
make.
he's honestly he's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
No, it changes who you are. It shook my existence to pieces, and I don't know. I feel like I maybe didn't always know who I was, but it that shredded
Mm.
anything I thought I did know away from me.
Yeah.
And I'm just building it back up now, and I'm liking what I see, but it is absolutely life altering.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Ooh, gosh, I get goosebumps just thinking about those first few days of shock.
Yeah.
So if people want to get in touch with you, Shae, how could they do that?
Well, you can email me at s.r.lee930 at gmail.com.
All right.
You can also find me on the Facebook pages, the NPE Friends, if you're there. My name's Shae.
Wonderful. I will put those in the notes as well for today's episode. And Shae, is there anything else that you wanted to share today?
Honestly, just thank you for having this podcast and being a light at the end of a very dark tunnel at the beginning of all this.
I'm glad, and thank you today for sharing your story. These stories are here for us to identify with. If you are an NPE, would like to share your story, email npestories@gmail.com. You do not have to give any identifying information. If you are an NPE and would like to share your story, I'd like to hear from you. Subscribe to this podcast to hear more. Come heal with us.